Herald-Times sports editor Chris Korman here, joined by Dustin Dopirak and Lynn, staff writers. We've just finished covering a stunning end to South's 49-game winning streak and an end to their chase for a second state title. Here in Seymour, South loses 58-56 on two late free throws. Yes, the leaf blower is going again.
Really loud.
They really like a clean gym here. But two late free throws by Drake Coleman. 8.4 seconds left.
Correct.
He had driven the baseline, was fouled by Eric Fromm. South called a timeout, I think, to try to get him to think about it. He stepped back to the line, hit both. South ran a play. Dustin will take us through what was supposed to happen. What did happen is that Spencer Turner brought the ball up the floor, was supposed to flash over to Carlino, I guess. Carlino was supposed to give to Davis. That didn't happen. Turner ends up dishing the ball to Whitlatch. Ben Whitlatch was coming around a curl and kind of got a shot off from about the free throw line, and it did not go in. And that was the end of it. And a red swarm hit the court, and tears hit the Bloomington South players' cheeks. And that's how it ended. Let's just get right into the reaction. Dustin and Lynn both went down and interviewed players and coaches. Dustin, let's start with you. You wrote the game story. What was just the general reaction from some of the guys you spoke to?
They were just completely devastating, basically. I mean, that's, I've seen a lot of losing locker rooms, but this might have been, I guess, the most just devastated, just heartbroken bunch of kids I've seen. I mean, obviously they did not expect for this to happen today. I mean, I'm sure they didn't necessarily look past these games, but I don't think in any way they thought that their season could have ended tonight. And they were just, I mean, crying and, as you would expect as, kids that have just gone through that tough a loss to lose that way after they'd been so dominant for so long, to have it end like that tonight. I mean, they were about as broken up as you're imagining. I mean, they, when they got out of the door, I mean, they really had a tough time, a bunch of them had a tough time composing themselves again, as you would expect. It was, it was kind of tough to watch down there.
What did you see down there, Lynn? Who did you talk to, and what did they have to say?
I talked to D. Davis and Eric Fromm and Spencer Turner. So not only were they devastated because they lost, they were devastated because it was a team effort in defeat. I mean, South just uncharacteristic meltdown, 7 turnovers in the fourth quarter, just fumbling the ball off their hands, not finishing plays, some bad decisions. I thought the alley-oop attempt on a 2-on-1 break that, it was an 8-point game at the time, maybe 4 minutes to go. Fromm can't finish the play. Jeff gets the rebound. They go down and score. It's a 4-point swing. I just don't think you need that kind of a play at that situation. But, I mean, this is a team that is confident and expects to make those plays. Well, tonight it just got away from them just kind of so quickly. They were outscored 13-1 in the last 5 minutes and never had a field goal. And it was all turnovers. They hardly had any shots. They had 2 free throw attempts, made one by Whitlatch, and that was the only scoring they did in the last 5 minutes. So they know they played poorly, and they are not used to meltdowns. When you win 49 straight, you just always expect to find a way. And tonight it was Jeffersonville, and you got to, give them credit for they made all the plays, made all the shots, got all the loose balls, and man, when the momentum turned, South could not reverse it.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you brought up the team effort part. It really was, as a South team, we wrote this story last year. It was such a great team effort for them to get where they were going with the Jordan Holes team. And this year, people question whether or not this team was going to be able to come together in the same way. It was a different attitude. This team was favored from day one, heavily favored from day one, considered one of the best teams in the country, had a transfer in Matt Carlino coming from Arizona, an IU recruit. So there was a lot of pressure there. People wondered how they'd come together. They did seem to come together a little bit later in the season, finally kind of meshed. But tonight, I don't think you could point at one thing and really blame it. D. Davis had cramps. The guard who's going to Xavier had cramps and just was not as explosive as he generally is.
Twice in the fourth quarter he had to.
And he got to the lane once and he tried to get up to the rim and was rejected. And you just really saw that he didn't have it. Spencer Turner, who's usually one of the better three-point shooters I've ever seen, didn't really even get any shots off tonight. from three-point and was just generally ineffective on offense. Eric Fromm did not really exert himself. The Butler-bound forward really never seemed to get going. And Carlino, who had a terrific game, I think he had finished with
19 and 11.
19 and 11.
4 huge threes, really,
Right.
to get
Yeah,
it
they South did a lot of good things
Right.
for 3.5 quarters.
They just could never turn the game. They could
Right,
never really take
there's
it
a
over.
couple of plays here and there where they were just about ready to really take control, and we forget that Jeffersonville hit Hail Marys at the end of the second and third quarters when South had double-digit leads, ready to take those into the next quarter, and Jeff hits those two, and they were just huge, not only 6 points, but just momentum swings too. But then South would get control and everything. But this was a game that screamed for Jordy Holmes. That was the guy last year when, it got white knuckle time. He wanted the ball. He handled it well, made good decisions, hit his free throws, got the other guys in the right positions, and they really missed his leadership tonight. And, I think that's something that somebody's going to have to emerge and want that role next year.
Right. Now, House, you've seen as much Monroe County basketball as anybody, I think, in the history of the sport. Where does this fit, in the games you've seen, and where does this team rank among the teams that have played in Monroe County?
But they're still one of the best teams ever. I mean, to win 23 straight games, against the schedule this year, and with that same nucleus going wire to wire to win the state last year. I mean,
Right.
they were one win away from tying the state record for consecutive wins, and that's something that the Jay Edwards and Lyndon Jones teams at Marion couldn't say, or the George McGinnis, Steve Downing teams at Indianapolis, Washington. All the great Muncie Central teams. Oscar, Robertson never. The two great
Sure.
Addicts teams that won back-to-back state titles, but they lost some games in there. So it's really disappointing that they didn't join that company. But gosh, I'll take 49 out of 50 anytime.
Yeah, just an incredible run, and an incredible team full of interesting characters, great kids. We've been doing this video series that Chris Howell's been shooting, the profiles of players, and just to see them sort of in a more rounded way as kids playing this game has been really intriguing. It's still just an incredible run that people are going to talk about for a long time. Dustin, what do you see as the future? Eric Fromm, let's start with him. He's going to Butler. What do you see him doing in college? And then how do this nucleus, this junior group, how do they come back?
Oh, I think Fromm's going to be a real good player at Butler.
Yeah.
I think the system fits him pretty well. I mean, I haven't seen enough Butler basketball to tell you exactly what he's going to do, but 6'9" guy, really good fundamentally, and that just seems to fit exactly the type of guys that Butler has, the Matt Howards and some of those type of players. It seems like he can just kind of roll right in and be that kind of next player in that line. I mean, I think I know there are some Indiana fans that are starting to wish they had Eric Fromm.
Oh, sure.
So I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. And these other three guys, I mean, what's going to be interesting is how they develop an inside presence. They obviously have 3 legitimate Division I guards, and D. Davis and Carlino. Obviously, there were some bad decisions made by both tonight, but those are some extremely talented guys.
Yeah.
Both of them are already committed to big-time D1 schools in Indiana and Seymour. So, another year with them getting a chance to mesh. I mean, I think you talked about it on the chat today. They seem like their chemistry has come a long way. So I think they've got a good shot. And obviously, Spencer Turner can shoot. I don't know.
Really shoot.
He can really shoot.
And he works on his game too.
Yeah, he didn't have a great game in the second game. He hit a huge 3-pointer in the first one to get them to this game.
Right.
So,
but he can't create a shot. He's going to have to figure out a way to maybe create his shot or some space a little bit, and then he will be. His game will go to another level. But like Carlito can create a shot, D. Davis can create a shot. But the key is the development of Desmond Marks and Quincy Bell.
Yeah.
TJ Bell.
TJ Bell. I'm sorry.
Sure.
One of those kids, or actually both of them, need to come along. I think Joey Forney needs to be more of an offensive presence inside next year. So the cupboard sure isn't bare. I mean, they could be right back here next year.
Yeah, TJ is as good of a is a real post player, as a star post player. They're in good shape.
Yeah, I think he spreads the floor a little bit. It's going to be interesting. We're going to cover this. We'll obviously continue to talk about the aftermath of this and just sort of break down this game and this season and talk to the players and coaches in the coming days. And then we'll look at the future. I hope you'll join us. obviously a sad night tonight, but still an exciting, interesting future for this South program.